right. So, hey, welcome to Built by Insights. Today we have Intentional Architecture, Jessica and Jesse. And we want to hear a lot about your story, what you guys do, your architectural firm, some of the interesting stories throughout your history, and just some of the personal journey of who you are as a person as well in the community of Lafayette. So, yeah, thanks for coming on the show.
Well, appreciate it. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we're really excited.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about just you two as humans on this earth.
Yeah, so we're both Midwesterners. I grew up in the cities, Twin Cities, and was very curious and interested in construction from an early age. You know, listened to a lot of the shows like Home Time, not the Tim Allen show. There's one local to us.
Okay.
As well as, Norm Abrams and some of those shows, and really loved construction, and ended up doing a Habitat for Humanity project when I was pretty young and loved it. Ended up getting hired on as a part of a team for a residential contractor, and we really did everything and just loved it. And eventually got to a place where I wanted to start my own design build firm in my early 20s, and I just loved doing that. And eventually got to a place where I realized that I really wanted to do a lot of the design part of it. I loved construction, and I really wanted to get into the design. So I went back to school, got my master's, and I've been working here in the Front Range since. Got my license, and been working, doing everything from mixed use, multifamily, some luxury, single family, and just been loving it. And we've really wanted to focus on the residential, working directly with clients and contractors, and it's been awesome. I've been loving it.
Yeah. And what about you?
So I come from product development of soft goods. So think T-shirts and tents and sleeping bags. And so I've done everything from design, product development, sourcing, and production. And it turns out that project management of making soft goods really translates really well into the project management of building a house.
Yeah.
So I came over and joined Jesse a few years ago, and have been able to kind of put into the practice a lot of those same principles that I've utilized in my career.
Yeah. Well, how'd you two meet? I like those stories as well. Come on.
So we have a great meeting story. So our sisters put us together on a blind date because they found out that they both had single siblings in Denver. So my sister's in Des Moines and his sister's in Seattle.
Yep.
So they hatched a plan to set us up on a blind date from afar. And I don't know, as they say, the rest is history.
And it worked.
That's
great. So you owe your sisters quite a bit.
We do.
They probably bring it up all the time. I know my sister would.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. Her sister gave a speech and was talking about the story. And so we didn't know this until that moment, but they were planning our wedding from the initial time that they put us together.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty interesting, funny story for her to show that to us. We have a little picture she framed of her iPhone, messages to my sister of where they're going back and forth on this. We have that picture up on the wall.
Yeah. That's cool.
So, yeah, it was fun.
So you still get along with your sisters?
We do.
Yeah.
That's good. And you guys live in Lafayette?
We do. Yeah.
And you've been here how many years?
We moved in 2018, I think it was. We were up over in Superior prior and wanted to get a place with a little more space. We loved the community in Lafayette, and being able to walk to shops and art night out, all those fun things that we get to do. And so we've really loved being a part of that area. Yeah,
I mean, you guys have you're involved in your community, with some of the Lafayette projects that you guys do. Want to hear some more about some of those here in a minute. And what else do you guys get involved in the community? Like what else? Like art night out? What else? The Peach Festival?
Oh yeah, gotta love it. Peach Fest.
The Brewers Fest?
We haven't done that, but that would be interesting. I didn't know that was going on.
The beer, Lafayette has a huge beer fest. Yeah. Are you guys members of the chamber?
We aren't.
Yeah.
Okay.
We need to.
I joined like 2 years ago. So they have a lot of events, and they sponsor a lot. So something to look into.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I get a referral fee if you sign up.
Okay.
Yeah, we really love the farmers market, so you can probably find us there on Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what are you looking for at the farmers market when you go?
Oh, our daughter, we have a 4-year-old at home.
Okay.
And she loves fruit. And so they have a sunset pop. So it's mango strawberry. And that's the first thing we get as soon as we go to the farmers markets. We go right to that stand. And she goes and grabs one of those. And we tried breakfast burritos last weekend, which were amazing. So I come from years up now. I've had a thing for breakfast burritos. So we go try different places. So it's been fun to do.
I'm going to jump to another community if you're bringing breakfast burritos up, but Locos Hermanos in Louisville?
I have not been there.
Oh, okay.
Is it downtown Louisville?
No, it's like that McCaslin over, there's a restaurant, Via Toscana. It's on the corner of McCaslin, right there.
We might go there for dinner tonight.
Yeah,
that sounds good.
They may close at 3.
Okay.
Sorry, but they're awesome burritos, like fresh made. I mean, they're not like traditional breakfast burrito. They're loaded.
Okay.
Good stuff.
I like it.
So tell me, tell me a little bit about, you guys met, you started intentional architecture how many years ago?
It was late in the pandemic. It was 2020 or 2021. Was that now 4 years, going on 5?
And you have 20 years experience in architecture.
Yeah, so I started, like I said, when I was younger, got into a Habitat for Humanity project on construction, and so spent a lot of time in my younger years building, and I love it. I love being on site these days too. I mean, if I have any excuse, any reason I can, I'm out on site just to see things, and so eventually transitioned, and after getting my master's and worked in the design side of it, but I love to work directly with trades and contractors and homeowners. And
where'd you go for architectural school?
Yeah, so I started actually in California at Woodbury University. It's a small school just outside Burbank, and then came here to CU Denver. And finished my degree here.
I've had several architects on, and CU Denver is it the only one that licenses?
Yeah, it's the only accredited for a licensure in that.
Yeah, because there's a lot. And what's cool is that I've had a couple architects on the show that actually, they go to CU and teach now. Like they teach, one of them teaches like a SketchUp class or, a software class. And so it's pretty interesting. It's a great school to go to.
Yeah, I mean, they have a great program. We were in the design build program and loved that. We got to build up in Leadville. And we'd sneak out for a day and go skiing and whatnot. We had fun with that. So that was really fun to do. And I mean, the place in Colorado was just amazing in general. Be able to go ski, spend time outdoors. So it's been good. We love it.
What makes intentional architecture different in this community, in our area, as architects? Tell me what you believe sets you apart. Tough question, I know, but
I think the biggest piece for us is that we don't have a signature style. We work to whatever the client is after, whether if they have a design preference, say craftsman or Victorian. We work really hard to have a strong process and be collaborative and communicate well, so that we have documents that lay out different parts of this design process, so the client is empowered and also aware. So, clients that are building a custom home typically they don't do this on a regular basis, so that's new to them. So helping empower and educate them is really important for us, so that they have a good experience and they're getting what they're actually after with this project. So we put a lot of energy, and that's a big piece that Jessica focuses on, is that communication, transparency, making sure that there's follow through and everything's going along smoothly.
So really, Jessica sets you apart.
She does, really, yeah.
Okay.
I think having a leadership team, we have Jesse that has the construction background and the architecture, and now, I bring in this project management and also just like a piece of less technical. I'm not traditionally from this field, so to be able to explain things to our clients, sometimes in a non-technical way, and feel like, we give them the information to really make the decisions and empower them through the whole process, I think really helps to bring those two pieces together. So you always feel like you're walking hand in hand with somebody who, doesn't always know what a trust system is, different things like that.
The words of construction.
Yes.
Yes. There was plumbers, when you're testing your plumbing, your drains, there's a test tee. And I was talking to my client one time. I'm like, the plumber's got to pull their testes. And I said it kind of fast, and she's like, what? Sorry, inappropriate. And I'm like, I got to think about how I'm communicating to the clients. What are they interpreting what we say? So sorry, just a side note.
Yeah, it's a great example.
Careful of the words you use.
It's something that it's good to have her insight, because I take that for granted sometimes, right? We just talk the language of architecture and construction, and people are like, I don't quite understand what you mean by that. So it's good to keep people, bring them along.
I really like that you have that construction background, because there's so many architects that are classically trained. I mean, they can design some beautiful stuff. Okay, how's it going to go together? What's the practicality in the field to execute this design, right? And you're talking residential. We're not talking, a museum somewhere, And so it's like, all right, how is it practical? And being able to have an architect who has been in the field that understands what a general contractor like us is trying to do and execute quality, on time and on budget is that's a benefit to one thing that I see in working with you that I look forward to.
Yes, I appreciate that. It's something that we really value the collaboration and communication amongst all parties within a project. And, budget's always a consideration in every project, right? So we have the conversations about what unique pieces does this client want, and we maybe throw a little bit more money at that versus this other stuff. Let's keep that really standard and efficient. And so we play that, it's kind of like play that game of balance so that we get the most optimized project for whatever their goals and objectives are.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we love having that conversation with client or contractors like yourselves where we can dialogue some of those things.
How can we maximize the budget?
Yeah,
absolutely, and still build quality.
Yeah,
because there's times that they're like, oh, just do that, and you're like, no, they're gonna have to replace it in 3 years or 5 years. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a trade-off. So, absolutely. Yeah, cool. So, intentional architecture. What sets you apart is your collaboration with the clients and education about the process, right? Okay. Do you ever feel like you overwhelm the clients with information or process?
We really work hard to try not to. So we try to give everybody like a big general overview of what you're going to go through. And then like at each stage, you're going to get kind of like a handout. Okay, so during this stage, here's what we're going to do. And that helps everybody because it's really easy at the beginning to think, oh my gosh, I really want that one window. But we got to figure out what's the floor plan first. So it's nice because we kind of try to take it like a funnel and try to take, like the really big concepts and then we're going to funnel it down. So we try not to get too overwhelming too early because it's really easy to do in this process.
It is. I mean, there's clients that I've built for and they're just like, I just wanted an easy button. And it's like, hey, we trust you. We trust that, you're going to build. We're like, yeah, but we're building your house, your home. This is custom to you. And we're building with you, not for you. And so sometimes clients are like, oh, I just want to walk in and get the keys. And it's like, oh, I don't want all the information. But I think it's better to over-educate, over-inform than not, because they could walk in, get the keys, and be like, what is this?
Right. And that's that constant conversation and kind of reading the client. And how do they feel about this? Do we go a little bit deeper into the details or do we keep it high level? And then working through that constantly. Absolutely. That's a fear that I don't want a client to go into a project and be like, I had no idea I made these decisions.
Yeah.
And you're halfway through the project. It's really important to keep people aware at whatever level they want to be at.
Yeah. There's sometimes that I'll get plans from architects and there'll be a detail. And I'm like, man, that's a very expensive detail. And, the architect's not always involved in every little detail that we're talking to. And I'll explain it to the client. And they're like, I didn't even know that. I didn't understand that. No, we don't need to spend that much on that detail. I'm like, well, let's run it by the architect and talk it through, see how important to the project it is, and then see if there's an alternative. Because they don't have the time to invest.
And that's the great collaboration that can happen between the architect and the builder and the client to be able to have those conversations of how important is this piece into that design as we balance the design and the budget piece.
What is it that you guys look for in partnering with a general contractor, a builder?
I think the biggest things is really good communication and collaboration. They seem very basic, but there's so many levels to that make it so important that we work well together. Like we were just saying, if we're having these conversations about how do these details want to come together, the client said they wanted X, Y, and Z, which means that there's different implications that come out of those decisions. So how do we work together and figure out ways to maybe simplify that? If you had an idea on something that might take it down and make it simpler or faster, and dealing with all those different constraints, because it's a prototype, right? It's like the amount of decisions and process and things you have to put into all that's a lot. And so having somebody that you trust, that has good experience, and we jive, we all work well together, that's huge. And as a result of that, we find that the best design outcomes come from those foundational pieces.
Yeah. So working with a builder, you said, what are the qualities that make a good team, right? It's pretty much what it is. We want to have fun at it, right? I mean, we love what we do. I mean, it's so much fun, especially if you're on a great team. If it's not a great team, it's like, okay, what are we doing? We're still going to build it, but we want to have fun at what we do.
Yeah.
So now tell me what your ideal client would be.
Great question. I think at a fundamental level, the basics are someone who is excited for the process, understands us and trusts us as their architect, and really is open in having those conversations and letting us know, like, we want to get insight into who you are as a client. Like, what do you value? What are your priorities? Maybe a day in the life. How do you want to live your life? And what are the priorities with, say, energy efficiency or different design elements and finishes? And really having great conversations together where we're getting to know one another, and we really can start to think as we go, back to the office, and I'm drawing on the computer or sketching, and I'm really thinking about Matt or Mark or Mary or whoever the client is, and saying, okay, they like the privacy here. Let's work these different pieces, and that allows us to really get to know them at a deeper level and get a better outcome for them at the end of the project.
Mm-hmm. There's sometimes I sit in a lot of design meetings early up front. And there's clients like, oh, you just do whatever, I trust you, right? And you're like, okay, but I need a little more information, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
For you to be able to trust me more. So trust, right? Getting to know your client. What else would make an ideal client?
I think transparency. Like, we really want to know, like, what's your true budget? Like, and you can give us like your true budget and like you're willing to stretch to budget, but really making sure that we're all on the same page with that, because then we can all as a team drive towards that budget. And then we know if, Jesse comes up with something incredible, we can stretch it X amount. But if not, then let us look and see how we're going to sort that out. So I think just really having that open and transparent conversation on what your true budget is and what you really want to spend is really huge for us.
That way we're all pulling in the same direction, right? As a contractor, architect, owner, we're all making the decisions that line up with what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah, some people feel like, oh, I don't want to share my budget, because, they're just going to design and build to the max or whatever. And it's like, no, we got to understand. We got to understand what we have to build. I mean, like you said, it's a prototype. It's a one-off. Hasn't been done before. There's so many requirements, but so transparency with that. I also think that an honest client, somebody who's not afraid to say, hey, I don't like that.
Yes,
100%.
Absolutely.
You guys are big kids. There's ideas that, not everybody loves. That's okay.
Totally.
And so don't be afraid to tell your architect, no, that's just not working for me. And, some people leave it, and then you get down the road, and that was a part that was designed around, and they're like, so you got to start over.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that causes challenges for everybody, right? It takes longer. It might cost more. Absolutely. Maybe if something doesn't align with you, or you're like, I really don't care for that. Yeah. We're good with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the other side where your clients come with a SketchUp model they designed.
Right.
Yes.
You're like, okay, well, thanks. It's a good roadmap, but let me do my job as the architect, right? You're just like, okay, great. Now they're like, oh, well, you don't have to charge as much because I did all this. Like, no. You get those clients.
Yeah.
That nice middle ground where people have their preferences. They know some things that they really want, and other things are like, what possibilities can you bring to us? Because we do this every day. What ideas do we have? Getting to know who they are and what they're looking for. That's what's really one of the many exciting things that we get to do is what future possibilities could we have for this client, and what they're looking for at the site, and putting it all together gets really exciting and fun for us to do.
Yeah. I did it on one of my projects where I drew up what I thought I should do to my house. And I do this every day. I'm like, I see a lot of cool stuff. I should just, let's just draw it up. And I was like, something's not right. I showed it to an architect, and like within 5 minutes, he sketched it and said, here. And I'm like, duh. Like, how? Like, no, you got to get a great architect. So we love working with good architects. So and plans, getting good plans, ones that are buildable, that aren't, the full volume of the Encyclopedia Britannica. Sometimes we'll get plans. I'm like, wow, like that's too much detail. But
and I think that that's an important part for clients to understand too. Is what are they paying for? How much detail are they paying for? To really understand that piece, so that you're not getting Encyclopedia Britannica. And you don't need it. You're a great builder. Yeah. So how do we make sure that what we're putting in the drawings is accurate? It's accurate for what the client is paying for, and it's accurate for what you need.
Yeah, no, it's important. Yeah. So I'm excited to see those plans you brought. So
let's do it.
Tell me about your Lafayette projects that you're working on, because I like the local stuff. Boulder County, unincorporated Louisville, Lafayette, Boulder, City of Boulder. Tell me. I drove by today on my way from lunch and saw one on East Simpson. What is that?
So that's going to be an office building. That one's really fun because we get to play with a little bit of Victorian there. The house next door has got Victorian, so we're kind of playing off of that. And we brought a lot of the traditional design elements to that, where we've got some lap siding, we've got some shake, and we're really working hard to, because it's a faces the street towards the south, so working really hard to put in roof awnings and coverage so that we get optimized daylight within that building. So we get really nice even daylighting through all these office spaces throughout the day. Also shades, provides rain protection and things like that help with increased durability and longevity of the building. And it's got this fun, we're kind of doing a little bit of a take on an old horse carriage barn off in the back, which will be storage and some of that kind of stuff out the back. It'll be wood clad, very traditional, with like band board and all the wood drip edges and all that sort of stuff. So that one's gonna be a fun one. We're hoping to get that one going soon.
That's horse barn. That's old. I grew up on Simpson as a kid. I used to ride my bike, learned how to ride my bike on Simpson Street. So I know that. And I was like, horse barn. That was way before me. But
that one's really cool because the clients have really wanted to integrate that into the neighborhood. So it's going to look more or less like a house.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be this really nice office space. So it's just really it's going to be a cool space.
We really like to work with the context of the site and what's adjacent. So being a good neighbor in design effectively, right?
Yeah.
So that we match the character and proportion and size of the buildings next door. And being kind of considerate of all of those different factors, and so that we work well and collaborate with people. It's a big piece, and it's important for us to do, and really consider all the different site constraints, views, noise, sunlight.
Was there any historic requirements on that?
No. That was, Lura is now no longer, but there was Lura commercial design considerations as well as just the traditional zoning.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And then you have another project in Lafayette you're doing, a commercial one?
We do. We have a commercial food hall, I guess we'd call it. It's about 5,500 square feet. It's going to be right on the corner of North Public and Baseline. And that one's going to be really fun. It's basically a food vendor, and then there's an ice cream shop. I mean, who doesn't love getting your dinner and then having your dessert right next door?
So this is right across from the rec center, right?
Yeah, Caddy Corner.
Yeah.
Yep.
Used to be a BVO gas station. Used to walk across the street to get a Snickers bar at middle school. So
nice.
Know the spot.
Okay. So so we're, that one's going to have the two vendors on the front. We've got, walk-up windows, so you can pull your bike up. There's lots of bike parking, walk up, drive up, and just walk up to the window and order your food and take it to go, or you can go inside. And even in the back, there's this big open patio on the east side, which would be fantastic in the summertime. And there's going to be a Winnebago basically in the back. That'll be another food vendor. That'll be seasonal, so that'll change through. There'll be multiple different vendors, and people get to try different things.
That'll be a cool addition to Lafayette for sure.
Yeah, it'll be fun. There's nothing better than going to get some dinner or lunch and then being able to go sit outside and just enjoy the weather.
Yeah.
Have a drink. So
there's quite a bit on South Public that's pretty cool. I know there's the other place where the Ventry was, where they're going to have that outside space and a punch buggy.
Yeah. Our daughter is so excited for punch buggy.
Oh, yeah, that's good stuff, punch buggy.
Yeah.
It is. So, yeah, the one in Louisville, I can't walk by it without my daughter wanting to get it. So, and then there's the Sweet Cow. I'd rather go to punch buggy because Sweet Cow, those lines are too long.
Although they move fast, it is worth it.
Yeah. So tell me, I'm going to ask you, Jessica, since you've been doing this with Jesse now, what's one of your most exciting projects that you've been a part of as a team?
We have a custom build home right now that is going on with a landscape architect, and it's going to be a beautiful home. He's been a fantastic client, and Jesse's designed the house that it's so optimized for their family. And Jesse can talk more about the architecture of it, but it's just been really fun and cool to see the design process that has really very specific for this family and how we've laid out the floor plans to make it so livable for them and really help and elevate their family's lifestyle. I think that one's going to be one of my favorites. I'm really excited. It's breaking ground soon.
Oh, nice.
And it's a really beautiful home. But I'll let Jesse talk more about the architecture specifically.
Yeah. What kind? Yeah. Go.
So it's this large, almost 1 acre site, and there's a decent bit of topography across it. So you kind of enter. It's almost like a reverse walkout.
Yeah.
And we've designed it so it's almost like a V shape. One wing is like bedroom suites, kind of the primary. And then downstairs will be the kids, and they've got a kids' living room space. The other side is like great room, kitchen, dining, living, mudroom, garage, that sort of thing. And then in the middle, we've got this, it's almost a fully glass connector or hallway with these floating stairs that kind of bring you upstairs to the upper grade at the high side of the house. And because he's a landscape architect, we kind of nerded out on some of the landscape architecture. And we've got this in-ground planter at the main floor. When you walk in, through this glass connector, there's going to be a tree growing up through the middle of the house in this glass connector around, and the floating staircase kind of spirals up around it.
Wow.
So it's going to be quite something.
Do you have some renderings yet, or like little?
We're finishing a photorealistic rendering, but we've got some colorized renderings that we can show you.
You'll have to send that to us. That'd be cool to see. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like that restaurant on South Public in Lafayette with the tree growing up through the middle. It's been there forever since I was a kid.
Right?
Yeah.
And not like that. No.
No.
So what else sets you guys apart? I'm thinking, like, hey, if it's down to you and another firm and me, Matt Kruger, has to make a decision on which architectural firm, why should I pick you?
I think another thing that we have really intentionally set up our firm like this is that we have help, for both of our teams, but everything filters through us. So when you as a client come in, you're going to talk to Jesse, and he may have a draftsman that's helping him, but it's all filtering through this one person. And, like all the project stuff, it's going to filter through me. So your project isn't going off to somebody sitting in a corner that you've never met. Our hands are always on it. And we've really intentionally kept it small like that because we find that there's a lot of value in that, in being able to, call up Jesse or call up me. I know what's going on in your project. I know where it's at. Do I have other people in the background helping? Totally. But I can answer your question, and you weren't lost and forgotten. We know where you are. Mm-hmm. And the same, Jesse can say the same thing about the design. He's got people helping him, but he knows what the client wants. He knows the general design direction. And he's able to then help and guide that team to then create this beautiful outcome.
Yeah, there's those little bits of conversation we have. Maybe it's just kind of in passing after a meeting or before a meeting. There's little bits of intangible information you kind of get, and as you get to know people, that it translates so much into the work that if it's once removed, it becomes a little bit harder to bring all that in. And then, if a client's trying to reach out to so-and-so, it just kind of gets a little bit more complex.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, we see that as our building company has grown. You get a builder on the front side. You have my brother, who's a builder who executes projects. We have our project management. We have project specialist teams. We have our field guys, and making sure that, because that's what we love about what we do too, is kind of that white glove service. Like, hey, we care. We're involved in this. We're invested with you. So that just made me think of that yeah, you can lose some information as you go down, but there's things you can do in your process to ensure that. So
I'm sure there's lots of conversations you guys are having and, talking through all that, translating and writing things down, and so that it can run smoothly.
Yeah, totally.